Morning, everybody. Welcome to webinar number 12 in our series. I can't believe I've done 12 of them now. As we all know, today's session, all about how we are utilizing AI in Markus to process your supplier invoices. So as the slides suggest, you've got some bullet points there that really are all about how it's going to help you. So we've introduce this to our product really to sort of act as a massive time saver for you. It's going to be a huge benefit to your admin users or whoever it is that does their time sort of at the moment manually processing your supplier invoices. It's going to save them a vast amount of time. And it'll also cut out on the human error which does occur when you're doing the repetitive task of logging supplier invoices into the system sort of day on day. It depends on how many you get. Human error does happen. This will reduce that vastly, and it's going to free up your admin staff, or again whoever does this task, from that repetitive nature and allow the system to work for you. So we've introduced AI into Markus to help with all of this, and basically this demo that I'm about to do today is all about showing you how it's going to save a lot of your valuable time. Before we launch into the sort of the main crux of it, for those of you that do this process already, it looks a bit like that. You've got the purchase invoice entry screen, which on the right hand side there you can see we've got the sort of the invoice entry where you would normally fill in the fields. If I just bring my mouse over, you can see you'd be normally sort of keying in some of this information and ensuring that the values match in the lines and the header. We've also got the preview of a supplier's invoice over here on the left hand side, and that is the manual task at the moment that somebody does to record your supplier invoices. So that's without the AI. With the AI, this is how our MARKUS AI agent is going to pass your invoices. So instead of you having to manually do anything, the supplier emails you your invoice. That'll go to a dedicated mailbox. We will then send that to the AI, which will then process the invoice. It will read it. It will interpret the data on that invoice and match it up with a purchase order that's in the system. That will then return it back to our system, obviously, and import it matched against the PO with all the values recorded against it, the right supplier and everything else. So I can show you how that works, but essentially all of that will happen whilst you are making a brew. All that process that you would normally be doing yourself is done for you. There are a few scenarios to this. So you've got, in an ideal world, I'm going to show you the one that you hope every invoice is like, that you've ordered a product or a bunch of products and you receive an invoice that exactly matches what you ordered, and there's no discrepancies, there's no errors, there's no additional items. It is what it is. So that'll be the first scenario where the invoice matches the order exactly. In the back office, we would have our purchase order that looks a little bit like this. I appreciate it might be a little small on your screens depending on how you're looking at this, but we can see that we've got a total ordered value of £188, and that is because we've got 3 products listed here in our 3 ordered lines, and those are all product codes. I'm just going to say that they are beginning with WBP. We've got 12, 18 and 25. There's a reason why I'm pointing that out. So we've got 3 product codes and we've got our total value there. Your supplier would then normally send you an invoice for those products, which might look a little like this. And as you can see there, again, we've got our 3 products ending in 12, 18, 25, total net amount of £188. We've got our PO numbers, invoice ref, and all the other stuff you'd expect to see on your supplier's invoice. So the product codes match the PO. A short demo. In our back office system, you can see I've got a little menu item over here, which is supplier invoices. I've added that just for ease for today's webinar. We would normally place this menu item in an area in your system wherever it would be suited to your staff. You might have a purchasing menu. We'd put it in there for you. We can work with you on that. But this is our document queue, and this will allow us to search for information that has been processed by the AI and returned back to you. So you can, of course, if you've got lots of purchase orders going on, you can use all these search fields to find your purchases. Now, we can use dates, we can filter on the summary of the order and so on. We've got the ability to search for the exact purchase order as well. And there'll also be a dashboard widget that does all this as well, but I'm going to use this search item because I've got the few things I want to search today. So I know for purposes of this demo that I want to look at a purchase order. This produces a search result for our invoice queue. So we can see that we've got our supplier, which was the PO for this one here for County Timber. It's a status processed, which is good news. That means we've received the invoice back. If I click on this little sub-report, we can see that this would have been normally the email sent by your supplier to the AI to read the invoice. So you can see there, I just simply types "see invoice attached." So you can always get to the original email from the supplier. You've also got the option to download the PDF file. That will download the PDF of the invoice, the thing you literally just saw on my slide. And you've got the ability to click into each individual order. This button here, by the way, you can ignore that. That's literally for our development team whilst we're working on the product. So here we go. If I click into our PO, the status of this order is now at complete. In our history of the order history, we can see here that a invoice was recorded by the document parser and an invoice PDF was added. That was all done by the AI returning the processed invoice. We have attached to the PO the PDF file from our supplier. And we've also, if we look at the invoice lines, the invoiced quantities match up with the ordered quantities, and the ordered lines remain the same. We haven't had to add any new lines or make any changes. It's literally just recorded the invoiced quantities at the values that were on the invoice. And because it all matched up, we can see the total values beautifully matching. Our invoice is down here, and we can also click into the invoice lines. Nothing different there, but you can see it has recorded that invoice beautifully in the system without any manual effort. Just while I'm on this screen, it's not related to the AI aspect, but you may have spotted if you do this job and you record invoices on the PO sheet, that depending on your user permission, if you have permission to pass invoices, you now have the ability to pass them from the PO sheet as well as the dashboard widget. So if you didn't know about that, you can do that from within an order rather than having to come out of it and go and find it on the dashboard. You can do that here. So as I say, that one was the perfect scenario where we processed an invoice and it matched everything. Our second scenario, this would be where we have a supplier that's perhaps sent us an additional or a different line to what we originally ordered. So let's take another example PO. We can see here this one is £162 worth of goods. We've got a dimmer switch and a hot plate element. Both of these are prefixed with part in the codes. So that's our order. Our supplier has sent us an invoice which contains the two products we ordered, but also we've got a smoke alarm there, or 10 of them, that wasn't on the original order. And again, our supplier's invoice, you've got all the usual information that the AI will be able to read. Back to our system. If I just start again from our document queue, and I'm going to find this order in our system. So this order is there. And again, we search for our order. Same thing processed. It's processed our invoice. Even though we had an extra line, it's still managed to do it. We can download the PDF file, which is the one you just saw on my slide. And again, we've got the email address, the email rather, that is what was sent to the AI for the processing of the invoice. And we can click into our PO. So this is where we can see again that the document was read in by the AI and the PDF was added to this purchase order. But scrolling down, we can see a bit of a difference, that the PO now contains the two original lines, but we've also added a material code for the additional item. And the reason we've done that is that this particular item, the product code that they sent over on their invoice, didn't exist in our system. So we've matched it to what might be your manual code that you might use in yours. So you can see there that the original value for each of these was added. This wasn't ordered, so it has a 0 ordered value, but it has been added to the PO anyway because we have invoiced it. And our total invoice down here is now showing as £528. And again, we could pass that from here, or we could query that with the supplier if we needed to, because they've added an extra item. So to summarize, what we've done is we've imported the supplier's invoice. We've matched the two ordered lines that we originally had on our order, the two part codes there. We've added a third code and we've linked it to our materials code so that we can record the invoice. And then that just leaves you as the user that might be passing these to deal with that as you need to. Moving on to our scenario 3. What happens in a lot of purchase orders, as I'm sure you're all aware, is that you might phone your supplier, have a long conversation about some things, and you might then send them a PO for as per quote or as per conversation. So it'll be a single line on the order line that will be totaling £1,000 worth of goods, but it will be as per conversation. No product codes mentioned, but obviously the supplier knows what that is. So your PO could look a little bit like this. So there's our ordered value of just over £1,000. And on our order lines, that says materials as per telephone conversation, ordered quantity 1, just over £1,000. So very nice. The supplier might then return the invoice containing the actual products that you have ordered. So quite clearly, that does not match up with that, only in the total and the PO reference, but the lines are completely different. So our demo in this instance, we would go back to our invoice queue or our dashboard widget, depending on how we're doing this, but I want to find the particular order, which is this one. I would then search for our order, and again, it's been processed. So again, we've got all the email, we can download the PDF. In our purchase order, we can see very similar to what happened with the previous scenario, except in this case, the product codes themselves actually existed in the system. We knew about them, we just didn't raise the order against the individual products. So the original manual line is still there, the ordered value, but we've not delivered or invoiced that. We've instead added to the order the lines that were actually on the supplier's invoice that were read in by the AI. And again, down on our related invoice, we can see here that those have been read in on that invoice line there, and everything has nicely matched up with what was shown on the supplier's the invoice, and it all adds up to the correct total. The three scenarios you've just seen, you've got the where it matches everything beautifully, which this sort of covers that as well. We've got product codes that it finds the product codes. We will map the original order to the PO, and we will record the lines against the ordered lines. We'll add a manual part code where we don't find the products, but when we do know about the products, we'll add them in like so. So I've already mentioned, after your invoice is recorded, this has got really now nothing to do with the AI, other than that you would then continue as normal. So you would approve your invoices for payment as you would normally. So essentially the process that we're cutting out is that bit where you have to key in the supplier's invoice, take it from the email that you receive, drag and drop the purchase order onto the PO, put all the values in, and repeat that process for all the many orders that you might be doing. We're cutting all that out. The next stage, of course, would be you would be looking at your dashboard widget for invoice passing. You'd then approve the ones you want to pass for payment, and they would get exported to accounts as normal. That actually concludes our demo. The demo, I hope, has managed to explain what we're trying to achieve with our AI element to Markus, and I hope it will be of great use to yourselves. If you would like to register interest in having this switched on in your system, then feel free to get in touch with us however you normally do. You can give us a ring, send us an email, register your interest, and we will come back to you with the plan for getting that live in your system. There isn't a great deal of setup or impact on yourselves to get it going. It's really quite straightforward to set up, and we can support you through that. Next session is in February, and it's all about using SORs to simplify pricing. And so when I say SORs, sometimes that means the world to some customers, and sometimes people go, SO what? So it could be actual schedules of rates from the National Housing Federation, so actual SORs, Or it could just simply be customer specific sales codes or rates. If you've got negotiated rates for call outs for different trade types, or if you've got hourly rates for different trades, or various different sales codes, you might have parks actually put in there as well. Anything to do with that, it's all about helping you link the correct pricing structures to your contracts or work types to help make your job costing and invoicing easier and less prone to errors. And it generally just sort of makes it a lot easier for those people in charge of costing jobs because the rates are already set. So it's all about pricing and sales codes. Thanks for watching, and hopefully see you all in the next one. And as I say, do get in touch with us if you'd like to register your interest in getting this one set up in your system.